Welcome back, everyone. This is Henry DeVries with Indie Books. Thanks for coming back to the forum. We've got a very special guest, one of our authors, Eleni Kelakos. And Eleni had published a book and then came to us for her new book, Claim the Stage, a very important book for women. Everybody can benefit from the advice. Eleni really wants to help women have their voice be seen and be heard. And that is an issue that is certainly out there, and I'm going to be writing about it very soon, about how many people overall, and especially women in the workforce, do not feel seen and heard. So claim the stage. They need to be on that stage. They have something to say. I like to say your story matters. Eleni really preaches that your message matters. With that, the introduction should not be longer than the speaker. Please welcome my friend, Eleni Kelakos.
Thank you. Thank you, my wonderful friend. So I want you to imagine, I'm 24 years old. I'm living in New York City, and I have just started out on my trajectory as a professional actress and singer. And I get a call for the biggest gig that I have ever gotten in my young life, singing the national anthem in front of 34,000 people at Shea Stadium. Okay, that's a lot of eyeballs. I'm nervous. I'm nervous and excited. The day of, I get all gussied up in my finest dress. And yes, what can I say? Here I am back in the day, so dewy, so young. And as you can see, so tanned. You can see I have actual tan lines. Yeah. So they put me in this little holding area, and I'm within pinching distance of the players. This is heaven for me because I'm a Mets fan. And I look on the field and they've set a microphone up for me right near the pitcher's mound. Oh, how exciting. But all of a sudden there's this little tapping on my shoulder, and I turn and there's this grizzled old groundskeeper. And he looks at me and he says, "Hey, did you know that the great Broadway singer, Robert Goulet, forgot the words to the national anthem?" Robert Goulet. And then he opens the gate and he ushers me out onto the field. So now, I'm walking on the grass toward that microphone. What do you think I'm thinking? Yeah, I'm thinking, oh my God, Robert Goulet forgot the words. If Robert Goulet forgot the words, I could forget the words. Oh my gosh, okay. I step up to the microphone. I open my mouth. I start to sing. Oh, say, actually, it was more like, oh, say, because there's this huge delay, right, between what I sang and what came back at me from these gigantic speakers. Oh my God. Oh, it's so distracting. Oh, Robert Goulet forgot the words. Oh God. Okay. I soldier on. What so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stars and bright stripes. And yep, right then and there I do it. I go and I blow the words to the national anthem, just like Robert Goulet, in front of 34,000 Mets fans, who, by the way, all know the words to the song. They're singing along. Not to mention all of my relatives who've been watching on TV sets up and down the Eastern Seaboard. Somehow I get through the rest of it, and I slink off the field, and there are tears in my eyes because I know that 34,000 people have not seen me perform at my peak, and claim the stage. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, thank God I don't have to sing the national anthem, the hardest song known to man, I swear to God. Thank God I don't have to sing the national anthem as part of my job description, to step onto a big, the field, an arena, the big stage. Well, that may indeed be true, but the fact of the matter is every single day, you, as authors, as business owners, as thought leaders, you are stepping onto your own playing fields, stages, what I call spotlight moments. When you get up and speak at a conference like this, or pitch your idea to a potential client, or, even just get up there and start shilling your book in a media scenario. And, people are expecting you to show up and, step up and speak up and shine. They're expecting you to bring your beautiful transformational presence to the moment at hand, your charismatic presence. They're expecting you to come through with shining colors, and really, so are you. Now, I'm essentially here to talk to you about presence under pressure. And I cannot talk to you about presence without talking to you about confidence. Because if you're easily thrown by the groundskeepers in your world, your confidence will take a hit. And when your confidence takes a hit, your presence takes a hit. And I can't talk to you about presence or confidence without bringing up the F word, fear. Fear of making a mistake, saying the wrong thing, singing the wrong words, fear of looking bad, fear of somehow being kicked out of the tribe, fear at bedrock of not being good enough. Fear. It can make you play small. It can keep you from sharing your big idea. It can keep you from pushing send, and putting out your social media yummies. It can keep you from sharing your big idea, from finishing your book, actually, from putting your book out there. Now, you may be wondering, what makes me an expert on fear? Well, look, several large scale Shea Stadium debacle type moments. I lived through them and I learned through them. I went to master level teachers in New York, acting teachers who helped me learn how to manage that kind of fear. And so, personal experience, right? But also day in and day out and day in and day out for almost 20 years now. I've been working with speakers, people just like you. Many of them, they're experiencing the greatest fear known to man, which is the fear of public speaking. And I don't care who you are or how experienced you are as a speaker, there will come a time when something will happen and you will be thrown. I don't want you to be thrown. I don't want anything to get in the way of you and your beautiful message, because what you have to say matters. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to encourage you to do whatever it takes to kick your fear to the curb when eyeballs are on you and the pressure is high. And to do that, what I want to do is share 2 life and I would say career-changing techniques that I learned that helped me to move from that really icky Shea Stadium experience to a place of greater confidence and consistency and presence in spotlight moments. So I hope that will be helpful for you. Now I know you're probably wondering, okay, so then what? What happened? What happened after you slunk off the field sobbing? Well, I'll tell you what happened. What happened is that I became unbearably self-conscious. self-conscious whenever I stepped into these high pressure auditions or performances. I mean, I started it was horrible. I was afraid that I would screw up and forget my words under pressure. I mean, I'm sure some of you have experienced that too. And it was really mystifying to me because, the fact is I was a born diva. And ever since I could remember, I'd always been really comfortable performing in front of one or more people. I mean, I even have evidence of it. Okay. First of all, there I am. I mean, I'm sorry. Is that not a diva pose? That's a diva pose. But better than that, I actually have evidence in here. Baby's milestones, birth to 7 years. My mother kept a record of me for several years till she was exhausted, probably about the age of 4. And then she gave up. When her little Eleni was born, and here's what she wrote under special aptitudes, ages 2 to 3. Eleni loves to dance to music. Keeps a tune, although bound to be loud and deep voiced. Thank you, Mom. Has good rhythm and mimics well. Remembers songs and words well. Good memory. Sizable repertoire. It also says exercises in the sunlight, free of clothing. It really does. That's still true. So the point of the matter is, I was genuinely mystified by this. And I noticed that I was particularly anxious when I was on deck waiting to step into these spotlight moments. You know those moments, right? It's right when you're just those last few moments as you're trying to collect yourself, when Mo and Schmo, your little inner judgers, are particularly loud and critical. Now, Mo and Schmo, by the way, Mo and Schmo, they're the representations of your greatest fear. They're the representations of your greatest fear. I think of them, right, as a pair of naysaying gremlins. They're on your shoulder, right? They're just sitting on your shoulder saying really mean things like, nobody's going to take you seriously, you stupid doo-doo head, and they sound like little middle school bullies because that's kind of what they are. And I call those negative beliefs the lies that bind you, the lies that bind you. Lies that bind are negative thoughts that you've thunk so much that they've become these subconscious beliefs. I think of them as centipedes in a way. When I was a kid, one of the places we lived was in Israel, and I was told my first day there that centipedes could sometimes drop off the ceiling and land on you with their little poisonous legs. And if they did, they would stick their legs in your skin. And if you tried ripping off those little horrible little guys, they would leave their poison in your skin. Their legs would remain. It takes a lot to remove these lies that bind. They are subconscious beliefs. They are 100 times stronger than conscious beliefs. So they're kind of driving the car, if you will. And so, lies that bind you, they lead to limiting behaviors. Limiting beliefs lead you to limiting behaviors, right? Like avoiding making those phone calls on behalf of your business, for example, or even saying yes to a speaking gig if you've had a bad experience speaking. So they essentially are confidence killers. That's how I look at them. They're confidence killers, and they stop you from claiming the stage. They can make you play small, and when you shrink to fit, you take a hit. When you shrink to fit, you take a hit. So I was, seriously shrinking to fit and taking a hit. But I finally discovered what I needed to do about those lies that bind you. One day when I went into a bookstore, remember those things? Bookstores. I was surfing the bookstore. That's what I like to call it, waiting for the book that would cry out to me. And I picked up a book by the great late Louise Hay. I don't know if you know her, but I love Louise Hay. And here was the book. This is the cover of my very dog-eared book. It's called You Can Heal Your Life. And it was all about taking control of your thoughts and your beliefs. Essentially, now we would call it mindset techniques. At the time, I just thought, wow, what is this? Because basically, what Louise was saying was take those lies that bind you and transform them into positive, useful, affirming statements. What I now call power phrases. Power phrases. So I thought, all right, I'm in, I'll try. And I turned my lie that binds, which was, yeah, you're going to forget your words, right? And I turned it into, I'm relaxed and ready. And I trust that my words will flow. Much more positive, right? Much more useful. And then I did what Louise Hay suggested. I repeated the power phrase over and over and over and over and over again. I basically retrained my brain. It dropped into my subconscious mind. It became a new belief. And I went a step further. I repeated it quietly to myself, or I wrote it out over and over and over again in a little notebook while I was waiting to audition. By focusing on that, it helped me shut out Mo and Schmo. You know, I was in action and they were just not able to really grab a hold of me, which allowed me just to be more relaxed and focused and confident when I stepped into the audition or the interview, which actually makes sense because as research tells us, what we think and say right before we step into a spotlight moment, onto the playing field, right, into the arena, will determine the quality of our performance. So using power phrases worked like gangbusters for me. I loved it. I loved it. But so did one more anxiety busting technique that I learned from, I've got to say, my favorite acting teacher of all time, the wonderful, amazing Michael Howard. Now, I'm not going to lie, the first time that I stepped into Michael Howard's class in Midtown Manhattan, and he ushered me into the studio, I almost walked right out. Because laying on the dirty, dusty floor were 35 professional actors with their eyes closed, tensing and releasing their bodies, shaking out their arms and legs, and making these really strange sighing noises like, ah. I mean, it was alarming, okay? And then when Michael asked me to join them on the floor and do what they were doing, I was like, I don't think so. No, I'm not going to do that. Until Michael said to me, in my class, you don't get on the stage to do any scene work until you have gotten your body, your voice, and your mind relaxed and ready, until you're centered, breathing, and present, because you cannot perform at your peak when you're armored up and you're holding on to tension. Well, that sounded reasonable to me. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I joined my colleagues on the floor. And to my extreme surprise, not only did I like doing it, it actually helped me manage my pre-show jitters, my performance anxiety, if you will. And it freed me up to perform more effectively. I now call that kind of on-deck pre-show activity, I call it R&R. Ritual, routine, and repetition. R&R. Basically, R&R are small, regular activities that are within your control that help you stay centered and calm and focused before stepping into the arena. They are sort of the equivalent of sucking your thumb and giving you that sense of safety, if you will. Now, why do they work? Well, frankly, I'll tell you, because fear cannot hit a moving target. Action trumps fear. Action trumps fear. I say this to my clients all the time. When you are doing something, it is really hard for Mo and Schmo to sink their little fangs in you. So, peak performing actors, dancers, musicians, and athletes swear by R and R and R as a way to manage their nerves, push their fear away, and stay focused while they're on deck. I mean, Michael Phelps, okay, he to me is like the king of this. I mean, 27 gold medals, Olympian, right? I could spend a long time telling you what his very robust series of R and R and R is, but I won't. I'll just tell you a few things he does. For one thing, he arrives at least 2 hours early before the swim meet, and he has a series of laps that he does with a series of very specific swimming strokes in a certain order. And music matters to him. He has very specific music he listens to in his earbuds, hardcore hip hop, certain songs at a certain time for a certain reason that help him feel a certain way. And let me tell you something. When you've got music in your ears, it's really hard for Mo and Schmo to get in there and bug you, or anyone else for that matter. And then at a certain time, he does these stretches, always from the left-hand side, for his legs. Then he takes his towel, he wipes off that starting block, he stands on that starting block, and he does that flappy, flappy arm thing we've all seen him do. Slapping his back like 3 times like a big bird. And he does it because it helps him feel ready. Now, back in the day when I started putting together my own R and R and R, this is what I did. And I still do this. First of all, I always would do vocal exercises, I mean, I just did that. I was trained to do that, so I did that. I muttered mantras like, I am here, or I am relaxed and ready, little tiny baby power phrases, right? Because power phrases are really an integral part of R and R and R. And I did a little Tai Chi to warm up my body and center it all at once. And I held or wore what I now call a sacred object, a ring that my mom gave me that reminds me of who I really am and what really, really matters. And eventually I put together and used a really simple on-deck preparation and recovery tool that I now call FBI. I teach it to all my clients. I'm going to share it with you. I mean, it's the simplest thing ever because simple is good when you're under pressure. F is for floor, foot, footing. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Ground yourself. B is for breath, belly. Bring your breath into your belly by closing your eyes and inhaling and exhaling 10 times. Follow the inhalation. And I assure you, by about breath number 7, you will have pulled your breath out of the jaws of fear and begun to calm your central nervous system. And then I, because it's FBI. I is for intention. It's the task at hand. It's a reminder to focus on what you're there to do in service to your audience of one or many. Foot, breath, intention. Right? Simple. Right? A simple bit of R and R and R that stopped me from going down the rabbit hole so I could step into the spotlight and claim the stage. What I learned by transforming the lies that bind me into power phrases and by using R and R and R while I was on deck was this. If you want to manage the limiting beliefs and the fear that can stop you when you are poised to claim the stage, you must take action. Take control of what you can control. So think about that for a moment. Think about it. What's your number one lie that binds you? Would you be willing to turn that limiting belief into a power phrase and then commit to making that power phrase your new belief by speaking it and reading it, or even, as I suggest to my clients, recording it? Recording each one that you write down. You could make a whole list of your lies that bind, as I suggest to my clients, right? And a whole list of new power phrases. Record them in a loop and listen to them when you fall asleep at night and as you're waking up in the morning, when your mind is open and receptive in theta wave mode. And what's your R and R and R? What could you commit to saying or doing routinely or repetitively and ritualistically to help you stay centered and breathing and relaxed before you step onto the speaking platform? As for me, back in the day, I absolutely committed to training my brain and banishing Mo and Schmo using power phrases and R and R and R. And the more I did it, the easier it got and the more confident and relaxed I felt in those spotlight moments and leading up to them. Which was why when a year had gone by and I got a call from the powers that be at Shea Stadium asking me if I wanted to return and sing again, what do you think I said? I said, of course, heck yeah, of course, because I knew it was time to revisit the scene of my so-called failure, right? And to put into action all the good, yummy stuff that I had learned since then. This time, I avoided the groundskeeper like the plague. This time, I practiced that song within an inch of, I knew that thing. I could have stood on my head and sung it in a hurricane. And this time, I used those tools that I'd learned to walk toward that microphone in a relaxed and breathing body. I felt the grass under my feet, brought my breath into my belly. I reminded myself of the task at hand, and I opened my mouth, and I knocked that song right out of the park. Every word perfect. And to make things even sweeter, the friend who came with me that day caught a fly ball. And the Mets won. Trifecta. So here's what I'd like you to remember. Fear cannot hit a moving target. Action trumps fear. So turn your limiting beliefs into power phrases and help yourself stay focused and centered while you're on deck waiting to speak using R and R and R. Let me assure you, it works. Do it because you matter. Your words matter. Use your words to change your world. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Eleni. But Devin, please keep Eleni pinned for a second. I'm not ready to let her go. First to say, being a lifelong Mets fan, that builds character, Eleni. So you have a lot of character. Your story became unbelievable when you said the Mets won, but we'll forgive that. I guess it depends on the year. So kidding aside, why I didn't want to let you go yet is it'd be criminal if you left and not told the family about your group training. Are you doing the group trainings this year?
Yes, I am. And by the way, there is one thing I want to share. This is something I'd like to offer all of you. It's an 80+ page workbook that supports really just excellence in presentation skills. And if by all means, just take a picture of this URL and go there. And I am doing, and of course I should know this right off the top of my head, I rock your short talk about it. There's one coming up fairly soon. I want to suggest to you, go to my website, which is theelenigroup.com. And I'll put these in here for you, just not to take up time now. I don't want to get in Manal's way. I'll put these in here for you to go take a gander at. And if you're interested, by all means, participate in these things. And I am doing, by the way, a 2-day retreat here in Michigan in 2 weeks. It's not too late to get a plane ticket and join me here. It's one of the best things I do. And I have room for you. I'll put all of those links in here for you. Okay.
You want to do a TED Talk? Do yourself a favor and get a phone call with Eleni and talk about it and see where you go. We need coaches. We need help to get better. Nobody does this alone. And the people who we're introducing you to can help you. And it's not going to break the bank. Mark and I say the hardest thing in this business is knowing who to trust. And the people we put in front of you are the people you can trust. I know they say if you don't want to be trusted, say the word trust me, but failing that, you can trust us on this. Eleni, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Henry.
Look forward to seeing you live in La Jolla next year.
I can't wait.
Okay, thanks.